Good morning, lunatics. Welcome to Morning Java. Morning Java brought to you, as always, not by the Stanley Cup champions, but by our good friends.
Not by the bear hugger, whatever that is. I am a hugger.
Dude, I'll tell you what, though. I would hug our good friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market because they get me through the late, Penguins nights that are coming up. You know, I'm headed home from the arena, and I get that $4.99 sub. And
7-inch sub for $4.99 any way that you want it. And we have both tested this to make sure that it's true this month, and it's legit. Let's talk a little bit about the bear in the room. Ben Roethlisberger might be done. I don't know. He might not be, but when you're talking about Tommy John, first of all, if you're talking about Tommy John for a pitcher at age 37, I mean, your chances of being done are really, really good. In Ben's case, he's got $40 million on the table. Does he come back or not?
I don't know. And I mean, this isn't, he can come back and throw a faster fastball kind of situation. You're talking about a quarterback who's always been, good at extending plays and putting soft touch on balls downfield, throwing balls in hard when he needs to. He's so dynamic and versatile that you don't really know how, an elbow surgery of any kind is going to impact his ability to do anything.
Well, I think based on pitchers' histories. Now, you say that, Jameson Taillon obviously just underwent a second Tommy John, which is a rare thing for a pitcher. Quarterbacks, it's not that much of a... Football people would bite my head off for this, but it's not as much of a precision sport as baseball. To me, the bigger issue is that Ben has to come back at age 38 instead of age 37, and he's got to start all over again.
And it's a full season.
And it's just gone.
He's played a game and a half, and you're just talking about now a full season that somebody else is going to be wearing the helmet, complete control of the team out there on offense.
But it's $40 million.
I know, that's a lot of money. I mean, Le'Veon Bell was willing to give up a franchise tag's worth of money. Different scenario.
Very different scenario. Ben's legacy. Too early? Too soon, as they say?
No, because I don't think it matters what he does from this point forward. It looks like it's a team that's really on the edge of rebuilding regardless of whether he comes back or not. Obviously, that'll probably play a little bit into his decision too, but, what he's done up to this point is still... to me, there's a pre- and post-AB anyway. There's already this dividing point.
It's certainly looking like that's a very stark dividing point. The way the Steelers receivers have performed through 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think we can look back at it, and regardless of whether he comes back, the majority of career is already done.
Yeah, it's where I always kind of try to find a way to punt whenever the subject comes up of Ben's legacy as it relates to historically. The obvious question is whether or not he or Terry Bradshaw are the best quarterbacks in Steelers history. From the numerical standpoint, Ben blows away everything except for the 4 rings. However, Terry Bradshaw did things in a short period of time, made plays that were beyond belief and against his own peers from the 70s, the Roger Staubachs and so forth, that he was competing against, still might have been the best quarterback in the NFL. Ben, for better or worse, and mostly for worse, has played in the era of Tom Brady. And I guess if he's done, his last official loss, I just thought of this, will be to Brady.
Yeah. It's a bit unfair. It's been his nemesis. He hasn't been able to get past the Brady-Belichick era. I don't know, though, man. It is such, football in general is so different. Everything is so different. I started thinking about, while you were talking about that, the quarterbacks that played kind of in between, the transition guys, you had the Montanas and you had the Marinos, but it was so different back then. And everybody talks about, Bradshaw's ability to just, like you were saying with accuracy. he put the ball where nobody else could get it.
Right.
And Ben Roethlisberger's always been really good at putting a ball where only his guy could go get it because of the athleticism of guys like AB and now Juju.
For my Tuesday Takes lead, I've written about Mason Rudolph and his voice, his cadence. Now, we've had this discussion about Brian Reynolds from the Pirates. He's got that Johnny Cash voice, and it comes up. He's even playing God's Gonna Cut You Down as he comes into the batter's box, everything. Well, Mason Rudolph has one of those too, okay? Now, we're not being weird when we bring these things up because this stuff matters. When he goes into that huddle, you remember what it was like. You were there for Steelers rookie camp, his first rookie camp, and he goes out there and he's, whatever the numbers are that they shout out, and everyone's like even those veteran offensive linemen and everything eventually were paying. They pay attention. David DeCastro told me he loves it.
Yeah, no, I think it goes two ways though, because he's also the completely just over the top humble guy that plays into that too. I mean, you probably remember the story that I told you about when Oklahoma State came in and just obliterated Pitt here, and I took a photo of him in the tunnel, and he looks at me and he says, "You want a photo of that guy? That's my offensive coordinator." Well,
That's really cool.
He's not probably going to be crediting Randy Fichtner quite as much as what was credited there at Oklahoma State.
But he's got this, and he's had this ever since he came. And you can go back and check our files. We're not saying this after the fact. He's had this presence about him up to and including the legitimate humbling that he did get at the NFL level, which was not being number 2 last season and not getting a helmet, not getting a uniform when he lost that job to Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, and we all saw that. It's been a debate since he was drafted. Is he the one that's going to take over for Ben Roethlisberger? Now it's not anybody's choice.
No.
They traded Dobbs, but I mean, you can't. Last year, obviously, it is what it is. Dobbs had a full year to prepare, but I think the way that we see the players react to him and his ability to make the reads and progression, he fits more naturally as a successor to Ben Roethlisberger, even if he's not the long-term solution, just because when he goes out there, it looks like he makes his reads. And
I was going to say, I don't want everyone to go, oh, you think he's going to be good because of his voice or whatever. His ability on Sunday to come in ice cold, that can't be overstated.
Right.
You're coming in, you're not mentally prepared. I don't care how much you can psych yourself up or warm up and go through your preparations and your reads of the opposing defense. It doesn't matter. Until you're out there, you're not mentally ready for that. He goes out there, he looks at the Seattle defense. He did make multiple reads. He was scanning the field. The touchdown to Vance McDonald, the one where Vance kind of bounced off the block and then came back to the inside.
The second one.
It's a really good adjustment.
Yeah, and it was, and he was
both of them.
He Rudolph in particular was good with the checkdowns, which I think is just so incredibly important. I think we're going to see a lot to Jalen Samuels. I think we're going to see a lot to James Conner. I think we're going to see a lot to Vance McDonald, just making the reads and checking down and not throwing.
See, you didn't mention James Washington either. What's wrong with everybody?
Well, here's the problem: is Washington had to wait to get into the game for some reason.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, what is everybody waiting for to get this guy involved? Especially now that his best bud's going to be the quarterback. You got to play.
Rudolph's out there, and he's out there with Holton and Moncrief, who's stone hands yet another one.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.